What's up, guys? Tyler Batton here, bringing you my 2019 in the bag. So I've actually made a few changes, and I'm really excited about them. You guys probably don't know what those are, but I do. All right, so we're going to start closest to the basket as my putting putters. I have recently switched to Discmania P-Line P2s from McPro AVRs. I'm really liking these. They're nice and stiff. I can get them really cheap and everything like that. And then I do still have a McPro AVR in the bag. This thing is super flippy for throwing putters or really long, like uphill putts where I need something to carry really, really straight. Banging some really long putts out here for some mid-range and everything. This thing's been doing so much for me. And then on to my first throwing putter is going to be an XT Glow Nova with a Disc Golf Monkey Stamp from 2018 on it. This thing is just a really grabby, really great approach disc, and I just kind of need that 150, 200-foot shot to go dead straight and then stop wherever it hits on the ground. Moving into more of my kind of throwing putters from on the XT Nova. I've got an AVR X3 Star Plastic. This thing is nice and overstable, but not so much that it's just a meat hook, so it kind of complements my Justice really well. I got an R Pro Dart. This is a good in-between disc for me, between a mid-range and a putter, so if I need a little more distance, I can kind of disc up to that and get what I want. And the last kind of in-between disc is going to be a Kellen McCann Blend Suspect. So I didn't want to like this disc. He gave me one, and I'm really falling in love with it. If I put it on hard, it kind of pops up, maybe even turns a little bit, and then just falls out of the sky. Sits wherever it hits, honestly. Kellen's right, these are money discs. And then on to mid-ranges. We'll start with the most understable. This disc is actually kind of coming in and out of my bag now. The McPro Rock 3. It's the 2017, I believe. So it's crazy flippy. It's been in my bag since 2017. And it's great for a tailwind turnover or a roller, pretty much. So I can get it on a big meaty hyzer, flip it up, turn it over, everything kind of like that. And then for a little more usable disc, I'm really liking the G-Star Mako 3. So this is actually a pretty understable disc for me, but I can work it a lot in the woods. I can throw it straight, flat, even a little bit of hyzer if I don't put a lot of pop onto it. Even for forehand shots, I'm pulling this thing out. Then I've got a Champion Rock 3 with the F2 stamp on it. This is a max weight. It's been in my bag for probably 3 years now, so it's worn in to be pretty just much a straight mid-range. Still has a little bit of stability, so I leave it on hyzer. It's going to hold it, and if I have an anhyzer, it's a little bit to land flat. And then the meat hook in my bag is a Lucid Justice, and if you don't throw in Justice, they're just stupid overstable for no reason, but I love the way it flies. It gets me out of trouble a lot, skip shots, anything like that. Really love my good Lucid Justice. Moving on up to fairway drivers. I don't really throw a lot of fairway drivers. I only throw 2, so I've got a super sick S-Line FD with a 1010 stamp on it. This thing is really nice for being an understable fairway driver, something I can start on hyzer, flip up, turn over, and then it usually lands with either a little hyzer or just flat. I haven't had this very long, but it's instantly went in the bag, and I haven't taken it out since. Something a little more stable. I've got a Star T-Bird 3 171, so a little bit lighter, nice and straight, has a little bit of glide to it, forehand or backhand. I like this disc for control. And then moving on up to what I call a control driver. First one is going to be a nice Star Roadrunner here. This thing is just crazy understable. I can start on a huge hyzer and even have it finish to a cut roller, and just kind of does whatever a roller does. Then I've got one of my favorite discs, a Metal Flake T-Bird, or not T-Bird, Thunderbird. It's a little bit overstable for me right now, but once it beats in, I think it's going to be a real great flyer for me. I throw it forehand and backhand, and it just is one of my go-to discs, especially for some of these longer courses when I don't need all the distance, but I need all the control. Then I've got a Discraft Z Predator with a big stamp on it. This is a really old disc. It's my first overstable fairway driver, so it's my Firebird for years. So it's worn into being kind of just a more overstable Thunderbird, and I can actually get some good distance out of it with all the control I need. Then for just meat hook stuff, I've got a flat top, actual flat top, Air Force stamped Firebird. Hard, overstable, doesn't go very far, but it fights any wind I would ever need it to do so. So it does one job, but it does it really well. And then on to some distance drivers. We'll start off with kind of the oddball. It is going to be a Z Nuke, and this thing is pretty beat in, but it is just a bomber. I've been throwing it out on this course, and I had probably my furthest drive ever with this. Just starting it off on hyzer and letting it stand up, turn over, and then when it runs out of speed, it just kind of falls back to the left. And I mean, let me tell you, this thing is, I don't want to lose this one because it goes so far. And then I've got 5 Destroyers in the bag. I've got 4 Star and 1 Pro. Bought this Pro one used. It's actually a 2010 Pro. Nice little pop top. It's pretty worked in, so it's going to go to the right for me or stand up really fast, or for a forehand. I don't have the best forehand, so it gets good distance for that. Then I've got a Star one that's pretty similar to that, but has a little more bite at the end of it because it is a little bit fresher. Stepping up from that for a little more stability. This one's going to turn, but then it's going to come back really hard. I've got another one that matches the last one. I've got a Paul stamp one. This is one of the first Paul stamps that they did. It's 166 grams, so it's really light, but it's also really overstable. Holds a super straight line and then just fades. I call it my rock destroyer because that's what it flies like, straight and then the left. And then for the overstable side of things, I've got a nice pop top Paul Macbeth embossed destroyer, 171, but it's definitely the most overstable one I've got in my bag, and it flies really far because of that glide, but it dumps hard. And the last thing I've got in my bag is going to be a Discraft ESP Swirly Force. I'm liking this for just kind of more control, so it bites a little bit harder and falls out of the sky a little quicker than my Destroyer does. So it's kind of filling that same slot. It may or may not stand, but right now I'm trying it out because P McB throws them, so I'm going to throw them. Wolves up, guys. Let's smash a disc.